So today we're going to go over the step-by-step process for simplifying or reducing fractions. Why do you want to simplify fractions, and what exactly does that mean? Well, to simplify or reduce a fraction means to put the numerator and denominator into its lowest or smallest number possible, while still remaining the same part of the overall whole. And why do you want to do that? Well, you want to know how to simplify them because when you start adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing fractions, it just makes it easier to work with them. The key to simplifying or reducing a fraction is to find the greatest common factor, and then to divide the numerator and denominator by that greatest common factor. Do you remember what a factor is? A factor is a number that divides into another number exactly without having any remainder. Think about it as this. What numbers multiplied together equal a given number? If you want some more info on how to find factors or the greatest common factor, I'll put a link in the description below for that video. Let's do a quick review of factors, and then we'll get back to simplifying fractions. Let's say we want to know the factors of 6 and 9. We find all the numbers that multiply together that equal 6 and 9. So the factors of 6 would be 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. So the factors of 9 would be 1, 3, and 9. 1 times 9 is 9, and of course 3 times 3 is 9. So if we were to look at these two numbers together and find out what the greatest common factor would be, you would say 3, right? It's the greatest factor that is present in both the factors of 6 and 9. So now that we're clear on factors, and we know how to find the greatest common factor, we can go back to simplifying fractions. Our first example is this, 12 over 36. Step 1, find the factors of both the numerator and the denominator. The factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 4 is 12. The factors of 36 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. 1 times 36 is 36. 2 times 18 is 36. 3 times 12, 36. 4 times 9 is 36, and of course 6 times 6 is 36. So step 2 would be to find the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor in both these numbers is 12, because 12 goes into both 12 and 36. Step 3, divide the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor. So 12 divided by 12 equals 1. 36 divided by 12 equals 3. So the fraction of 12 over 36 has now been reduced or simplified to equal 1 over 3. Let's look at another example. Simplify the following fraction, 9 over 54. Step 1 would be to find the factors of both 9 and 54. The factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. The factors of 54 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18, 27, and 54. 1 times 54 is 54. 2 times 27 is 54. 3 times 18 is 54. And 6 times 9 is 54. Step 2 would be to identify the greatest common factor in both. The greatest common factor here is actually 9. Step 3, divide the numerator and denominator by that greatest common factor. So 9 goes into 9 one time, 9 goes into 54 6 times. So our fraction of 9 over 54 is now reduced to 1 over 6. Let's do one more example. Let's put 5 over 19 into its simplest form. Step 1, find the factors of both. The factors of 5 is 1 and 5. The factors of 19 is 1 and 19. Step 2, find the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor is 1. When the greatest common factor is 1, that means the fraction is already stated in its lowest or simplest form and cannot be reduced any further. Let me give you math tip number 1. So once you've done a few examples of simplifying fractions and you feel like you have the steps down like a pro, keep this trick in mind. In the examples we have above, you'll notice that the numerator went into the denominator an even number of times. It doesn't hurt to look at that first. For example, 9 over 54, well, 9 goes into 54 right off the bat, so dividing 9 into 54 gives you the simplest form. The questions won't always be that easy, but it does take just 2 seconds to do some quick math in your head to see if it can be done. Tip number 2. If you're working with large numbers and you don't know the factors of all of them, you can reduce the fraction partially and then reduce it again. Let me show you how that works. Take the fraction 125 over 375. Do you know the factors of 125 and 375 off the top of your head? I don't. I mean, I could figure it out, but there's got to be an easier way. Both numbers end in 5, which means for sure they're both divisible by 5, right? So let's divide 125 by 5, and you get 25. Divide 375 by 5, and you get 75. So now our fraction has been reduced down to 25 over 75. But they still both end in 5, so we can keep reducing it. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 75 divided by 5 is 15. Our fraction now is 5 over 15. Well, can we take it one step further? We know 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 15 3 times. So now the fraction of 125 over 375 has been reduced all the way down to 1 over 3. If both the numerator and denominator were even, you could divide by 2 until the numbers get to be more manageable. There's lots of ways to do it. Now that you know the steps that are needed to simplify fractions, head on over to my other video on solving fraction word problems to get some extra practice. And if you want that additional help on finding the greatest common factor, I have a link to that video below. See you guys next time.